Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your time today. I'm pleased to be here. I'd like to acknowledge the people who set the conference up, especially Apiculture New Zealand. There's an excellent range of speakers, and it's a testament to your commitment and dedication to the industry. I'd also like to acknowledge my colleagues from the government and reinforce our continuing commitment to the industry and our part to grow a sustainable industry and protect it from biosecurity risks. Some of this you've heard before. The industry is on a strong trajectory of growth, despite this year's poor flowering season and lower honey yields. In the year to June 2017, honey export prices have increased 8% to reach $38.50 a kilogram. This year we're forecasting prices to reach record levels for the 8th consecutive year, and we think this trend can continue. The green bars in the graph show increasing export volumes. The black line shows an increase in the price our honey commands. While volumes are going to drop, we expect them to recover quickly. Manuka honey deserves much of the credit for the price increase over the past decade. But if you look closer, you'll see that the one constant factor guiding all international trade has been change. The recent fluctuations in markets for New Zealand honey is a good illustration of that. We've seen reductions in exports to Australia, China and Hong Kong, alongside significant increases in volumes to Japan and the UK. As Minister Bennett touched on yesterday, New Zealand businesses need to be agile, innovative and positioned to respond to these changes. One way industry is doing this is through its work in partnership with MPI to move Manuka honey production for medical use from wild harvest to science-based farming of Manuka plantations. As an industry, you have identified goals to increase export value to more than $1 billion by 2028. We are excited about playing our part to contribute to that goal. But there are some challenges. As you know, the honey industry is not immune to the types of challenges, uncertainties and risks that face every other industry. Bad weather conditions, variable flowering patterns can put a significant dent in production. This year's forecast drop in volume from the heights of 2016 is a good illustration. Stocking rates can also affect production. There are existing threats to these, such as American foul brood and varroa mite, which you've just heard about. Both of these need strong and active and ongoing management. And we're facing a significant new threat from myrtle rust. You heard about this yesterday. We're working hard to manage it, but at this stage it's still difficult to tell exactly what impact it will have. These are all obstacles to getting production into market. Once it is there, it's critical that consumers can have trust and confidence that our products are true to label and safe. There are significant consequences in losing this trust, and it can be quickly eroded unless we can address counterfeit and fraudulent honey, and in the case of Manuka honey, give consumers confidence that they are getting a genuine product. MPI has a role, but industry needs to step up too. None of this is easy. As government, we have a clear part to play in growing and protecting the industry, and we're focused on that. But the challenges are not for government alone. Success depends on industry also stepping up to own its part. One of the biggest ways we can add value is through opening doors to markets and ensuring they remain open. Our work in this area includes country-specific negotiation, trade agreements, competent authority requirements and export assurances. My colleague will talk to you about this in the next presentation. Once these doors are open, it's industry's roles to walk through them and develop markets. The experience of other industries has taught us that the most efficient way to do this is through industry speaking and acting in unity. We are aware of current concerns with overstocking, vandalism, hive theft, to name a few. Government has a role to play here to enforce compliance, but it also needs to be addressed through industry leadership. Similarly, industry needs to take the lead on managing its own reputation, training its own people, and guiding its overall direction. We're proud to be working with the industry on driving innovation through the PGP, and there are other government agencies in this space too. And we know there's more the industry can do on its own. This is normal for businesses. MPI sets the regulatory framework, but it's important to note that the basic requirements for exporting honey are no different to the requirements in other sectors. One interesting comparison is with the infant formula program that was produced after the whey protein concentrate inquiry. As a result of that, there are extra requirements for that product to ensure products are fit for purpose. Every batch of infant formula must be tested for macro and micronutrients to confirm that the composition meets the requirement of the Food Standards Code and the intended market. Additional microbiological testing is undertaken on every batch of product, as well as sampling and testing of the processing environment. It's a very rigorous and robust regime. To address the wider challenges, industry needs to come together around shared objectives. A number of primary industries have done this by setting levies to fund collective activities. These include the kiwi fruit industry, the pip fruit industry, and agricultural sectors such as beef and lamb and dairy New Zealand. Industries have set up codes of practice to demonstrate they're committed to good and ethical practice. If you decide that a levy is something which would support your industry, MPI would be happy to work with you on this. But it would need strong buy-in and support from the industry as a whole to work. Whatever you decide, industry needs to be able to speak with a coherent, unified voice. Any comment from industry, whether from the minority or not, will have a bearing on the industry's reputation. The formation of Apiculture New Zealand last year was a positive development for the industry, and the quality of this conference is evident that you are moving in the right direction. Government is keen to see the industry build on this. As you know, our part has been working on a major piece of work to develop a science-based definition for Manuka honey. There is a lot at stake here. Such a definition from a competent authority is critical to safeguard the assurances we provide, facilitate market access, and protect our market advantage. Our science program found that by using a combination of chemical and DNA markers, we could identify honey that was from the nectar of Manuka plants. The definition is able to separate monofloral and multifloral honey from other honeys. Alongside getting the science right, it's important that the regulatory framework supports the authenticity of Manuka honey for each step of the supply chain. The General Requirements for Exports, or GREX, supports export certification for Manuka honey through requirements for testing representative honey samples, specifying what can and cannot be on the label, and verification to provide an independent check that operators are meeting the requirements. When these steps are completed, export certification will be provided. We received just under 120 submissions. There are three key themes that came up in many of your submissions. These are the DNA test, use of other markers such as leptospirin or methylglyoxal alongside the proposed markers or in place of them, and concerns around the blending of honey to meet the definition. Some submitters provided data from honey that has been tested to the proposed definition. It's very useful to have that information. I can't go into the detail of our analysis on the submissions because we haven't finished yet. I can say we're having very useful discussions with Apiculture New Zealand that are helping us work through your concerns. MPI's bottom line is that the definition has to be based on credible evidence. We will be able to provide you with further information once we've completed the analysis. So So our science program has been carefully planned and executed. The definition we developed is robust, sophisticated and accurate, but we've come into the process with an open mind and we are using the consultation to look for opportunities to improve. We are open to changes that can ensure our final requirements are practical and effective for the industry, while maintaining the level of assurance in the system that we need. Because of the number and complexity of submissions, the Ministry has decided to build an extra 6 to 8 weeks from now into our process to ensure that all feedback is thoroughly reviewed. Many of you indicated that you would like MPI to take extra time to consider your submissions. We want to take that time to get the export requirements, including the definition, right. One part of getting implementation right is for MPI to provide supporting resources where needed. To that end, this year we've set up the Export Regulatory Advisory Service. This is a dedicated, customer-centric service to help small to medium exporters grow in a complex regulatory environment. Since its set up, more than half of the businesses seeking advice were from the apiculture sector. In recognition of the number of inquiries from this sector, a draft booklet has been developed and is intended as a guide to the honey and bee products export chain. We've got copies of that available from the MPI stand today and would welcome your comments so that we can continue to develop this into a useful resource. We have a team at our conference stand, or the number up there you can give them a call on. I'd like to reiterate that we're committed to working with you to increase the value of honey exports, strengthen the regulatory environment and ensure New Zealand's reputation as a producer of high quality, safe and authentic honey. Growing and protecting our industry is everyone's responsibility. We look forward to strengthening the links we have built with you all. I believe Apiculture New Zealand will take a step towards better collaboration between government and industry. We look forward to further collaboration and with all of you as well. I congratulate you all on the industry that is on a positive trajectory, and I look forward to seeing MPI do its part to help the industry realise its excellent potential. I'm here until lunchtime. Welcome anyone coming to talk to me after morning tea. Thank you.